Hello and welcome back to another video. This is Super Mario Kart on Super Nintendo. Recently picked this game up. Absolutely fantastic. A lot of nostalgia tied to this game. We've been playing this around my friend's house. Massive groups of us. Really was a quality title. So I picked Toad. I think it was an interesting design choice, the way they've got the map at the bottom. The game's always in split screen. It seems a bit annoying to start off with, but then you realise the genius behind it. The fact that when you play in two-player mode, it makes no odds. There's not a downgrade to the person who, generally plays it single player or whatever else. So in that way, it kind of makes sense to me. So I'm definitely not the world's best Mario Kart player. Let's get that out of the way straight away. Basically read the instruction manual in terms of knowing how to power slide, so that's why I see such an horrendous effort. I won't put myself down too much when we are in first place. I actually had to look online how to erase the memory on this game because someone had already almost completed it within the race you unlock at the last 100cc stage. Ooh. So I did find out how. I think you have to press L and R, Y and A on the title screen, if you were wondering. So I'll start from scratch, but what a wonderful experience. Even in 50 Hz, it's still an absolute pleasure. So I've yet to do the 60 Hz modification on my Snes. I will get round to it. It took me about a year and a half to pick up the courage to do the Saturn one, so got a bit of scale electric track I need to do some work on a crossover, so hopefully that's going to be my next sort of project. Unrelated of course, but then again it is kind of racing. So I think one of the most memorable things for me about this Mario Kart sticking it back on was the music. Straight away I was like, oh yeah, I remember this, I was about 12 years old. Back in the days when kids only really played games when that was the only other option. Well, certainly the kids I knew. We was out causing mischief elsewhere. We were sitting around playing video games all the time. But in the winter, or upon an evening, maybe a spot of a sleepover, would be hard at play. A lot of people think I give the Super Nintendo a hard time, but I did play it quite a bit when I was younger. It was the first time I played NBA Jam. I couldn't believe that game. It was a fantastic title. Still plays well today, but certainly at the time, I've never played a sports game with so much enthusiasm. I think probably my biggest memory, which I've spoken about before, was when someone I knew had a Super Nintendo and they claimed they won it from one of them coupons that used to come in the magazine. Ring this code, pick a prize of your choice, Super Nintendo, a week away in France, all these silly prizes, a BMX, all this crazy stuff. And they reckon they'd won one of those. Well, even then they were really expensive to phone up, so I didn't quite believe the story. Nevertheless, they had it with pilot wings. And that blew my mind. Mode 7 in that game. But still, I think probably the game I played the most on the Super Nintendo is Mario Kart. I've also spoken about the story when I got stabbed in the arm during someone's birthday party when I got the original Mortal Kombat for the Super Nintendo. There was a bit of overexcitement over completing the game, defeating Goro. There was a bit of a tussle for the cake, and then I ended up with a sharp knife in the side of my arm. No damage done, we got back down to Mortal Kombat. So there we go, managed to come in first there. There's an impressive variety and range of tracks in this game. was quite surprised actually when I stuck it on that it was still as good as I remembered. I didn't know at the time would have been very kind to it, but it doesn't seem to have made much difference. We've got the leaf. This allows us to take the legendary shortcut. We don't hit the banana on the wall. Oh. He thinks he's clever. That's what I'm talking about. Spotted turbo. How I missed that banana, nobody knows. I was best to use turbo on this track. You could perhaps turbo and jump. I'm not going to risk it though, I'm just going to turbo across the finish line. Start lap 4. This is the thing I have noticed about this Mario Kart compared to the ones I've played. Certainly the more recent ones I've been playing them on the Wii with my nephew a few times. As cool as it is, it doesn't seem to matter how well you race, the power-ups play a massive part in it. But this game, if you actually race well and get ahead, the power-ups don't really affect you. There's nothing that hits every single person on the track as far as I'm aware. It probably is now. But, I've not encountered it so far. Oh, he's lost it and gone to second. Who'd have thought it? Looks a bit dark on the camera there. I don't know how this is going to turn out. Always difficult when filming the old CRTs. I don't think there's any Gran Turismo-esque unlocks for getting first in every track. Or at least I hope not. So here we go, round 4. I remember seeing the cheat for this on Games Master for the turbo start. Someone seems to have mastered it. Got it working on the Wii one straight away. So I do wonder somewhat if I was influenced into getting this game, even though it was part of a trailer with a website, because of all the hype over Mario Kart 8. Because that does look like a cool game. I think as much as Nintendo rehashed these games, you can't help but get into it if you're a fan of retro games. Let's hit the turbos this time. Oh, I'm really not giving a good example of how to power slide. Very menacing track, this one. I don't know if there are any shortcuts on this track, I'm not seeing any. I'm sure there are. Every time you go to usually a gaming event, there's always that guy who's like the Mario Kart World Champion or something. He's always he flies around the track, he does. I mean, no doubt he's the World Champion, but got a special pad though, I'm not sure how he does it. There's usually a prize if you can beat him or something like that. I've never taken him on. Oh, getting a bit caught up there. Was that Yoshi? I don't think it was Yoshi, was it? I'm not sure. Who's it? King Koopa? I managed to get first place. I'm just about the right length in finding these races. I know these tracks, they do get a lot harder later on. I remember much frustration I can keep falling off the track into nowhere, into black space. So this should be the final, and then I'll wrap up this video, but well, there's not really any point saying anything other than this is, you know, fantastic game. Even 20 odd years after release, what was it? 2014 now. It's come out in what, 1992 in the UK. So 22 years old. Still a pleasure to play. So I'm actually quite pleased I went ahead and got this. It was basically because the place that I traded in would do half the monetary value for cash, so it didn't really seem like it was worthwhile. It seems a shame not to have this game in the collection, in all honesty. I think if you're a retro gamer and you've got a Super Nintendo, and you probably already got this, perhaps on the last Super Nintendo owner on earth to get a copy of this. It seems to sell for good money, but there's no way it's rare because everyone had this back in the day. This was the definitive Super Nintendo title, certainly amongst people I knew. Just trying to trick me, Daisy is. Ooh, how did she not pick up that banana? That's some cheating on the computer. Oh. So whilst it was unlocked before I deleted the save data, I did go on to the 100cc races, and it's really competitive with the computer. It's absolutely mental. With shells and all sorts flying all over the place. It makes the 50cc seem very tame. This game's got me pondering whether I should buy another Super Nintendo pad. I have got one, but it's a bit ropey. I feel like I've got a bit of an advantage using the official pad that I've sort of retrofitted with new parts. So that's it really, 12 minutes in, Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo. Well, thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll load some more videos soon. Well, let's just see us out with the podium.